So I was thinking to buy a new CPU for my rig and I found a really great one. It has 3.7 gigahertz of clock speed, but then I looked at another one and it has 4 gigahertz of clock speed. And when I checked that one, there was another CPU with 4.7 gigahertz of clock speed. And when I finally settled onto that one, guess what? There was another CPU right around the corner waiting for me, and that has 5 gigahertz of clock speed. Now I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I have way too many options, and heck, I don't even know what clock speed means. And if you're having the same problem, well then don't worry. I'm here with my overacting and explanation what clock speed means and why it is a meaningless term. Clock speed is the rate at which a processor can complete a processing cycle, or how many processing cycle per second it needs to complete an instructions. Now what's an instruction, you may ask? Well, you clicked on this video, right? That's an instruction, but that is a very simplified explanation of what an instruction is. So if someone asks you, well man, what's an instruction in computer science? Don't even dare to tell this, because believe me, I have tried it and that was a freaking embarrassing day of my college. Clock speed is typically measured at megahertz and gigahertz. 1 megahertz equals to 1 million cycle per second and 1 gigahertz equals to 1 billion cycle per second. So by that term, a 2 gigahertz CPU is going to be twice as fast as a 1 gigahertz CPU, right? Well, no, because that is right only in theory, not in the real world case scenario. Because oftentimes different CPUs from the same manufacturers use different architectures, and obviously different manufacturers will use different architecture. You with me? It's getting a little bit too confusing? Well, let's look at it much more simpler way. Let's say we have two CPUs, again, one with 2 gigahertz and another one with 1 gigahertz. Now I also have a math problem to solve, which is 2 into 2, and I don't know how to solve it, and I'm gonna do it on my computer because I'm dumb and I'm an idiot and I don't know that the answer is 22. Don't worry, it was a joke. I know the answer is 4. Or is it? So if a 2 GHz CPU needs 4 cycles to complete that multiplication, and on the other hand the 1 GHz CPU needs 6 cycles to complete that same multiplication, then we can say that the 2 GHz CPU is twice as fast as the 1 GHz. And if the 2 GHz CPU needs more than 4 cycles, then well, it is no more twice as fast as the 1 GHz CPU. Now I think by now you have a firm grasp of what clock speed means and why it is a meaningless term, unless if you're comparing two different CPUs with the exact same architecture and exact same core count, and the difference is in just the clock speed, which is never gonna happen because neither AMD or Intel isn't that mad that they're gonna make two different SKUs which are exactly the same, but the difference is in the clock speed. Nope, it's not gonna happen. But hey, it also doesn't mean that the clock speed is totally meaningless and it's just a marketing piece. It's not. It has its way to judge a CPU, but there are few other things you need to look for when you are buying a CPU, like the architecture, how many core it has and how many cores do you need. And if you want to know more about these topics, well, I have already made a lot of video explaining all that. You can check this playlist right here where you will be able to know how a CPU works, what are CPU cores and how many CPU cores do you actually need. And after that, you have to look for the IPC improvement that particular CPU has over its predecessor or the last generation CPU or its comparison. But the most important factor is your budget, not only for the CPU but also for your overall PC, because there are more variables involved when you are building your PC, like RAM, GPU, storage device, monitor, and overall like almost everything. And if you are upgrading, then you have to look for, is that motherboard going to support that new CPU that you're going to buy, or do you need a new motherboard? or do you have enough RAM or not, or what kind of a storage device you are using. Is it a mechanical drive that's slowing your PC, or is it a SSD, or do you need a SSD? And if you need a SSD, what kind of a SSD you need? Do you need a SATA? Do you need a NVMe, or even your motherboard supports in NVMe or not? And if you are planning to game on your PC, then one of the most important factor that you have to look for, and that is your GPU enough, or do you need to upgrade your GPU? And if you want me to explain any of the aforementioned stuff, well, hit the like button and let me know in the comment section, so that you can make a much better and a sensible buying decision. Because at the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money, and if you're not earning, it's coming from your parents and they have to work hard for that. And to be honest, nobody likes to burn money. But you can like this video if you enjoyed this one, and if you haven't, and if you want to dislike it, well, you can. It will hurt, but if you made this part, then I'm sure that you have understand what clock speed is, and that's what matters the most. And if you want to watch more videos from us, check out this video right here. And if you want to subscribe, which I appreciate if you do that, I really do, well, do it by here. And there's Akash, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.